Welcome to Infinity Books here in Asakusa, and welcome to the next Music Room Sessions Live. I'm joined today by the wonderful, the lovely, the very talented, please, ladies and gentlemen, Kate Beck.
Last night I heard your voice calling my name out soft and low, telling me you come back home, but I was all
try not to cough.
So thanks for joining us here. So if you'd like to just give a quick introduction about yourself.
Sure. My name is Kate Beck, and I have been in Tokyo for almost 4 years now, and been playing for about 3 years out here. And I'm originally from California, and I'm a singer-songwriter.
Hey. So when did you get started with music?
I got started with music at age 4. Yeah, at age 4 I started playing the violin with the Suzuki method. So I was like, my mom would play these tapes for us that had like classical music and these little storylines, and they were like super magical and cute. They were cassette tapes, so that's crazy. Yeah, I just got really interested in music, so she was good enough to sign me up for violin. Mm-hmm. I played violin for like 8 years, and then my brother had a guitar and an acoustic guitar in his room, and I just would steal it and start playing it, and so then my instrument kind of changed to guitar and voice from there.
And so what got you interested in music then?
Yeah, those tapes were great. And also, yeah, I guess I've always been drawn to music, and I did a lot of I was lucky enough to do a lot of things growing up, like sports and dance and, you know, visual arts and all that stuff. And I think I just always, I always found myself coming back to music. So I don't know exactly what it is, but
just keeps pulling you back in, yeah. And so you alluded slightly, but when did you become involved with the Tokyo scene then?
Yeah, about a few months in, actually with Taryn, who's sitting right here, we Googled open mics in Tokyo, and we found the Ruby Room, which has open mics every Tuesday. Yeah. And yeah, I feel like that's kind of how a lot of people get involved in the music scene here.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, so we just showed up, and then we kind of were like, oh my god, this place is so cool. And we didn't talk to anyone for like a month. Like we just kept going back in 2 months, and we didn't play. We just watched, and we were like in awe of this cool music scene. and then finally we started playing, and so yeah, and the community in the Ruby Room is this sort of colorful expat community with definitely some Japanese in there too, but just sort of everyone thrown in there from amateurs to pros, and it's just a really constructive kind of environment. So I was very encouraged. I was super nervous to get up on stage, obviously, and then after I did, I was very encouraged by all the people. So that was great.
Okay, well, let's move on. Let's get a little bit more in depth with your music there.
Sure.
So, obviously, you're being a singer-songwriter. Obviously, one of the key things is the songwriter aspect. So, how do you develop a new song? Do you start with the chords? Is it a melody, or is it a guitar line? What takes you through that process?
I think it's different every time. Like, sometimes it's like a line that I think of, like a lyric, that feels evocative, or I'm fiddling around on my guitar and something sounds nice. Yeah, it's usually, it's kind of, yeah, it starts in various places, but they usually kind of then all start developing together. I can't really write like a full song with just the chords and then go back and write the melody and then go back and write the lyrics.
They're all hand in hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think you said earlier on that it takes a while, but how long does it take you to put a song together?
Yeah, a long time. I guess if I had to, I think if you know kind of, if you've done it enough times, you can write a song like in a day, just with basic music theory. Yeah. So sometimes it'll happen quite easily, but usually I feel like if it takes less than like a week, then I feel like I'm not doing it justice.
Oh, okay.
So usually it's like I'll work on something really intensely, and then I'll put it away, and then I'll come back to it, and I'll think about it, and
so you give it some breathing room to develop and.
Yes, breathing room, and I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I have to. Yeah, I feel like I have to be really thorough about writing every part of it. I have to consider every part of it, so I can't quite do that in a short amount of time.
So do you ever consider a song finished, or is there always...
That's good. I feel like the first time you play it live is when it's finished, because you can't really change it after that. Although I did change, so I guess no.
No. never done, no.
Stuck around, truer than my shadow on the ground. My friends said you were long gone, but they couldn't see you with the light on. Because sometimes you visit me just to you could be. You get stuck in my mind like a melody. First song I ever learned to sing. No one can see you. No one can feel your hand on their cheek. No one can taste your cool apathy, no. No one can paint you, recreate you so vividly. Oh, that doesn't mean I don't believe. No, that
So you write lyrics and perform for people to use in like commercials and things like that. So how did you get started with that?
Yeah, it was kind of a nice story. So I was first going out to all these open mics after I started playing at Ruby Room, and I was working full-time as a teacher, and I had this plan to go to What the Dickens for one of their open mics. And then I was like going home from work to pick up my guitar, and I was so exhausted. I was like, I don't want to do this. I can't do this, I'm too tired. And then I was like, you know what, Kate, just gotta go for it. Just gotta seize your dreams. So I went to What the Dickens, and then that night I met this girl called Amy Blackschlager, who's a lot of people in this community know. And she is a commercial singer, and she heard me sing, and like a week later she messaged me on Facebook and said, "Do you want to sing in commercials and that kind of thing?" And
Wow.
yeah, it was really generous of her because she didn't have to do that, and in a way we're kind of both going for the same jobs, so
Okay.
it was a very gracious thing for her to do. So if she's listening,
So going into the lyrics writing side of things, what are the challenges are there for writing lyrics for somebody else compared to writing for yourself?
yes, I think there's like good and bad about it. Like you kind of so you're like removing your ego from the writing process, which is a really good thing, I think. And then also it's more challenging in a way because you have to kind of create a character and think about like what they would want to say and like what their perspective would be and their attitude would be. So I think it's just kind of like takes discipline to more than if you're writing your own stuff, you can kind of just do whatever you want. But it's more focused on like the craft of the songwriting as opposed to like expressing what you want to say about yourself. So that's a challenge. And then sometimes the assignments are kind of like really ambiguous or too specific. So like recently I did one for a commercial and they asked me to make lyrics that sounded like luxury and like a easy life, but that weren't too specific so people could put their own ideas into it, and a couple other things. And I was like, how can I?
That's vaguely specific.
Yeah, right? And it was for cars, and they're like, you don't really have to put anything about the cars either. So I was like, okay, well. So then I just kind of had to do a lot of rewrites and think about how I can evoke a sense of luxury without saying we're being luxurious.
Conversely, though, is there anything easier about writing for somebody else over writing your own stuff?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, along the lines of the ego thing is like removing. You kind of remove the factor of like self-doubt and fear of being judged and fear of, just like that sort of ego-driven thing where you want to present yourself a certain way, and I find myself getting very tripped up by those kinds of things, which I think is a weakness for sure. But when you remove yourself as the person that's presenting the idea, or you're kind of not even really coming up with the idea of the song, you're just like, executing it, then you take away any sort of that head stuff where you're questioning yourself and all that.
Has any of that skill transferred across to your writing for yourself?
That's a good question. Yes, I think so. Because writing is such a practice. So if you feel how it feels to do, to write differently than you normally would, then you have like another tool in your chest, so to speak.
Yeah. Oh, cool. So how much time do they give you to write these projects then?
Yeah, it depends. Sometimes it's like the day of in the studio. So,
Wow.
Yeah. Like the stuff that goes like in commercials on TV and web are like really fast paced. So those sometimes, I'll just go in the studio and they'll give me the assignment there and I just have to write it and then go sing it. So that's quite thrilling. But then the ones for like TV kind of like soundtrack stuff are on a longer timeline, and so sometimes I have like a whole month to do it. So
that fits more into your normal writing style.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if you can talk about it, what projects have you been involved with?
I have done. Most of them are the commercial kind of quick jobs, and those are kind of the bread and butter, if you will. And they have sometimes they're big names that people recognize, like Panasonic and Line and Shiseido and
Amazon.
Yeah. There's a,
Wow.
yeah, but oh, and also what's the one? Hello Kitty. I did two for them actually. Yeah. My cousin was like, "Now you've made it in Japan."
Signed for Hello Kitty.
Anime, the Welcome to the Ballroom e Yokoso. Yeah. Oh. You know. So I got to do some lyrics and sing for that. And
So, which one has been your favorite so far?
Actually, probably my favorite one was not in Japan. It was when I started working as a musician. But my dad works in Hollywood. Does writing, and so he was working on like a small budget film, and they needed a song for one of the scenes. So they asked me to make one, and it was cool because I didn't actually like work with my dad at all on it, but we could say that we were on the same project. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah, that was fun.
Okay, so looking back, obviously, life's like learning. So,
Yes.
are there any projects that, with hindsight, you'd go back and have done differently, or you'd like to approach them from a different like state of mind or something?
Yeah. The early ones were kind of like all the commercial projects that I did. I feel like I was so unsure of what I should do, and now I'm just like more confident in like my abilities, and also I understand what producers are expecting, and there's like a whole kind of language, and there's like a system, right, that I didn't know when I first started, but like, and also kind of like a cultural vocabulary. Like obviously the word Genki everybody that lives in Japan knows, but like when I first came here, the word Genki didn't have like as deep of a meaning as it would for as it would for someone who speaks Japanese really well, or who's lived here for a long time. So like there's associations that the producers have when they say like Genki that I don't know of, or I do now, but so just kind of learn,
experience and just doing it over and over again.
Yeah, and learning what the expectations are and how to best meet the expectations. Sorry.
Yeah. So when you get to like the performing the stage of either a song you've written or somebody else has written for you, so how long do you spend in the studio doing the vocals for that?
Usually just a couple hours, anywhere from like 30 minutes to a couple of hours. But
So learn the lyrics quick and
yeah.
first take, second take, right? Okay, out the door.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's basically. It's just like if they let you kind of sing it once, and usually it's like if they like the style, then they just take a couple more to get the best take, and then do some small edits. Or sometimes they want you to change your style of singing or your gankiness or whatever. So then you have to try it a few more times. But that's another thing that's helped me with my own stuff, because usually if I'm recording myself, I'm like such a perfectionist and it takes forever. So it's a good lesson that I can do it in 30 minutes.
Alright then, so what advice would you give to another artist who wanted to start up with this process?
Definitely just work on kind of like finding your style, I guess. Because I think there's so many good singers in the world, and so it's what distinguishes people is their different styles, and then people go back to people who they know can deliver this one kind of style, I guess.
Yeah.
So work on style and just keep playing live and doing what you do.
Her golden glow can bring you back from the dead. It wakes you gently like a kiss on the head. And I've never known another love like hers. And now this dream to see 1,000 worlds and live 1,000 lives as 1,000 different girls. And I poured my soul into 1,000 cups, but I know there is just one that always fills me back up. California, you're my only, and your memory is calling for me. Like a river, I'll wind back to your shores, 'cause you're the only one who keeps me coming back for more. You're the only one who keeps me coming back for more. Now I've seen the moon from the other side, and I've lost count of the colors in a stranger's eyes. And I've received love and rage in tones that aren't mine, but every wonder brings another to my mind.
First question, who are you listening to right now?
Ooh.
I want three. In three.
Three? I always have a hard time answering that because
You got answer now.
I don't have like cool music taste, so like I'm not.
Well, we know that.
Let's see, what was I listening to on the way here? Oh, okay, one of my all-time favorites is Bon Iver. So
Yeah.
I was listening to that on the way here. And yeah, he's just so perfect to me. I think he's just a genius. So he never gets old. And a lot of Frank Ocean too. Yeah. He's also, I think, just a genius, and he's like he's kind of a singer-songwriter, but he's using all of these different modes and tools, and he didn't restrict himself to a guitar, so that's cool. And third one? Oh no. St. Vincent. I'm obsessed with her. Yeah. She's like very kind of art poppy, quite different from what I do, but
Can you do an impression of her one day?
sure, one day.
One day.
But she's cool, yeah, and she's got a lot of she can do a lot of different things, so it's cool.
Nice one. Thank you.
When writing a new song, oh sorry.
Yeah, we
Go,
the
go.
most vocal.
When writing a new song, which do you feel is more important? The point of inspiration, or what inspires you to create that song, or the journey of figuring it out while you're writing it? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Probably I almost always stray a little bit from the original point of inspiration, so probably the latter. Because I think if I were like a better songwriter, I could just do exactly what I set out to do at the beginning. But it's kind of like it's almost like you're like waiting for little like raindrops from the universe of like. So if you get something good, I kind of like follow it, even if it's.
Well, surely that gave you a more honest song at the end? If you
Yeah.
followed the trajectory of the song rather than saying,
Yeah.
no, I must write my inspiration.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're listening to the song and writing it as it's being asked to be written.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I guess.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
So I guess naturally the acoustic singer-songwriter kind of genre kind of, I guess, inherently lends itself to a lot of romance and like love-related
Yeah.
songs and topics.
Yeah.
But outside of that,
Yeah.
what sort of, I guess, like subjects or themes do you find yourself writing about the most?
Oh, yeah, I think the songs that I wrote, like, kind of when I first really started being serious about songwriting were love songs, because they're the easiest ones to write. And you hear them everywhere, so it's kind of, you have a model for what you want to write. But lately, I've just been thinking a lot about my own sense of agency in my life and my responsibility to myself and to others. So I think that my writing now will like reflect that in the future. And just questions about, what's life all about? What's it all about?
Do you have any specific song examples?
Oh, well, yeah, so now I wasn't writing for a long time. I just couldn't get to a place where I was writing anything that I liked, but I've started to write again a lot, so it's good, but they're all kind of developing at the same time. But the one that I started working on recently, I think I'm gonna call it Distance Between, and it's meditating on the idea that it's easy to think of life in black and white, and that there's say love and hate are two different things, but so often life is more complicated than that. So just kind of thinking are two things that we traditionally think of as different, are they really different? Is there where is the line between love and hate, for example, or is there just some distance between them, but maybe they're all on the same spectrum? So that one will be coming later.
Well, follow up to that one then. You said about the title maybe being this.
Mm-hmm.
Does the title normally come at the end for you, or can it vary?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, it's almost always at the end. Yeah, just sometimes it's listening to the song and what's the most important thing, or sometimes it's just what's catchy.
You say you like darker topics.
Yeah.
Like what?
Well, I think it's just easier to write about things that are painful and confusing than things that are bright and happy.
This is right.
Yeah. There's
But how can you remove your ego from this?
From me liking to write.
You said you try to remove your ego when you're writing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I should. But
Why?
Why?
The great songwriter say Tom Waits.
Yeah.
His ego is always there, but
Yeah.
what a great songwriter, my taste.
Yeah. Yeah.
And dark topics,
Mm.
topics which speak to me.
Yeah. Well, I think what I mean by removing your ego is songs can so easily be. I think songs you should try to just let them show you what they're supposed to be about, or you shouldn't try to nudge them in a different way to make yourself look better, or they should be as honest as they can be. So Tom Waits is just he kind of puts on these characters, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
So I suppose we all as artists and musicians, I know there's a few of us here. We all have different definitions of what it means to make it, so to speak. Maybe it's playing a certain venue, or doing X amount of albums, or the album reaching so many sales, whatever. What would you consider as, maybe not making it, but what's that thing you want to do?
That's a good question. When I can afford a Lamborghini.
Do you really want one?
No, I'm just
There's
kidding.
much better stuff.
I think it's just being able to support myself with music, and being able to do that is such a gift. So for that, yeah. And obviously just to try to make the best thing possible, but for other people to also relate to anything that you do is pretty cool. So as long as I can keep doing it, I'm super happy. But I would love to also, win a Grammy and stuff like that.
To wrap things up then, so where can people from YouTube, from here, where can we go to find your music?
Yes, well, I don't have anything released yet, but it's in the works. So wait for that. But yeah, I have Facebook page, and I have a Twitter that I never use, and an Instagram. They're all just Kate Beck Music, and then my website is katebeckmusic.com.
I'll put links in the description so people can go check them out. All right, do you have any shows coming up?
I actually don't. I don't have anything booked right now. But
And then get on at YouTube Land. You've seen her perform now.
yeah, there'll be something soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, Kate Beck.
No one knew our names. Oh, darling, you made me a believer. All you had to do was take my hand, and all of a sudden I could see the colors flood back in, like it was morning. Easy as a heart can break, it can mend again. Now we're a little bit older and wiser. We learned how to care for each other, but we still got some habits to break. But I am just as enchanted as ever. Your face and moon, my elixir, and I'm swept away. And when you come home and wrap me in your arms, I feel you pull from across our love.